well last night. Shaking it up. We are live.
Please rise in body and or in spirit to give thanks for this beautiful day, singing We Give Thanks, number 1010 in the teal hymnal.
For this time, and the third time for this food we share. Chris, take it away. Oh, we give thanks
for this precious day. We're all gathered here,
and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. We give thanks for this precious day. Gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. We give thanks for this precious day. One more time. We give thanks for this precious day. All gathered here and those far away, for this food we share with love and care. We give thanks for this precious
It's a beautiful day at Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church, a liberal religious community where love works. It does. I'm Abhi Janamanchi, one of the ministers serving this religious community, and I welcome you to worship this morning.
Buenos dias. I am the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin, your assistant minister. Please know that whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are from, whatever your beliefs, life circumstance, gender identity, or immigration status, you are welcome here. All of us are welcome. All of us are loved for who we are, as we are.
If you're new to Cedar Lane, we have a small gift for you. Would you please raise your hand if you're comfortable doing so, so our ushers may find you, and so we may see and welcome you to worship. We have some guests this morning. Friends, let's give them a warm Cedar Lane welcome. Welcome.
And if you keep your hands up, the ushers and greeters will be able to find you.
Right.
Please know that all are invited to stay after the service to engage in this sacred Sunday practice of coffee, bagels, donuts, and conversation. Visitors, if you choose to use a yellow mug, our friendly Cedar Laners will be sure to greet you, because at Cedar Lane, yellow means hello.
And a special welcome to those who are joining our service online this morning, whether in the moment or catching up with us later. We have Cedar Lane members and friends joining us from their homes, from the hospital, from rehab facilities, and also when they're traveling, as well as friends from around the world. So let's turn to that camera and give them a big wave of welcome. Glad you could join us. At this time, I'd like to request that if you have cell phones, smartphones, to please put them on worship mode, and also draw your attention to the announcements page that includes a lot of different things that are happening on campus, both today, this week, and in upcoming weeks. Please take a moment to look at the many wonderful things happening while I join Reverend Katie in highlighting just a few. Today we share the plate with Family Diversity's project, FDP, which is devoted to educating people of all ages about the breadth and depth and beauty of diversity. FDP creates traveling photo exhibits, books, and curricula to help eliminate prejudice, bullying, and harassment of people who are discriminated against due to their race, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious beliefs, nationality, and disabilities of all kinds. I hope you will check out the wonderful pioneering voices, portraits of transgender people in the vestibule if you haven't, and this will remain through the end of this month. I thank you in advance for your generous support to our Share the Plate offering today.
We hope you'll join us right here at 4 o'clock today as we celebrate Diwali. There will be classical Indian dances, a play with our children who will be presenting it. There will be a lighting of sparklers and a delicious dosa party. All are welcome.
And also on Tuesday, November 20th, I hope you will join Reverend Katie and our interfaith clergy for an interfaith Thanksgiving service and service project benefiting the Interfaith Women's Shelter and the Dorothy Day Place at St. Francis Episcopal Church in Potomac.
In this season of gratitude and giving, please consider volunteering at the Interfaith Works Women's Shelter. Every year, our congregation takes responsibility for feeding the women in this 70-bed facility for all 3 meals, and it's going to take all of us to be able to do it. So please, in the lounge, sign up for a meal or for a day. And also, on Thanksgiving, if you haven't made any other plans yet, know that we are having Thanksgiving right here at Cedar Lane at 2 o'clock. Please see me on your way out or look in your order of celebrations insert. There are directions on how to get registered for Thanksgiving right here.
And in case you missed last weekend's wonderful Falling for Cedar Lane auction, no worries, because we have Cedar Lane auction part 2 after service today in the lounge. So feel free to check out the goodies that are going to be available for you to bid on, and I hope you will consider not only looking at them, but also supporting our major fundraiser for Cedar Lane. And also coming up on December 1st is the 50th Holiday Craft Sale, which is our annual gathering as we usher in the holiday season. Sign-ups are available in the lounge. I hope you will check them out as well. Katie?
It's one of the coolest things we do here. The whole entire building transforms.
Because
I look forward to it every year.
Yeah, you're a crafty person.
Yeah.
I'm not. So.
In this caring community, the pastoral visitors are an extension of the ministry team. Helen Pakachak is today's pastoral visitor and will be available throughout the service and after the service at our Joys and Sorrows candles.
And now let us center ourselves, bringing our hearts, minds, and spirits with gratitude in our hearts and abundance in our lives for this time of worship, celebration, remembrance, and caring. Thank you, members of Bel Canto. This morning, we honor current and past veterans of our nation's uniformed services and their families for their service. We come together to express our deep gratitude to all who served, whatever their role and wherever their service took them.
Our roll call this morning reminds us that these are not nameless people who serve. It's quite easy to say that those who died in our wars gave their lives so that the rest of us could enjoy our freedom. It's harder to honor those who died and those who served by resisting the erosion of freedom and by working to prevent war.
As we name the form of national service with which you identify, we invite you to rise in body and or in spirit, and to remain rising, and for the rest of us to hold our appreciation till the end.
If you served during World War II, would you please rise?
If you served during the Korean War, would you please rise?
If you served during the Vietnam War, would you please rise?
If you served during the first Gulf War, would you please rise?
If you served during the war in Afghanistan or Iraq, would you please rise?
Would those who served in the uniformed services during peacetime in the U.S. or in any other country, would you please rise?
Would all those who currently serve in the uniformed military services, active duty or reserve duty, please rise?
Would family members of those who served in the uniformed military services, active or reserve duty, please rise?
Would family members of anyone currently serving in the uniformed military please rise?
And would those who have a friend or neighbor who serves or has served in the military please rise?
We honor your service and that of your family member, friend, or neighbor, and the integrity and the courage of the choice to serve.
And we say thank you for your service and sacrifice, and know it will never be enough. Thank you. Thank you.
As Cedar Lane member and World War II veteran Fred Peters, who turned 101 earlier this month, kindles the chalice. Please rise in body and or in spirit to share in unison the chalice lighting words printed in your order of celebration. We light our chalice in honor of those who have served and those who continue to serve at home and abroad, and we offer our thanks. We kindle the flame in gratitude for our being in community with one another, and in thanksgiving for all the blessings of life.
are sweet, and tomorrow brings them true. Here is the place where I love you.
Deep in the meadow, hidden far away, a cloak of leaves, a moonbeam ray.
Forget your woes and let your troubles end. When again it's morning, they'll wash away. Here it's safe and here it's warm. Here the daisies guard you from every harm. Here your dreams are sweet and tomorrow brings them true. Here is the place where I love you. Here is the place where I love you.
Thank you, Youth Choir, for that wonderful piece. Today is a holy day. For each day a child is born and a child is dedicated is a holy day. We gather during this time to recognize and dedicate new life. We gather also to celebrate and give thanks for the hope and wonder that is childhood and the spiritual practice of parenting. In so doing, we recognize the mystery of life as it begins its unfolding. We celebrate this mystery in word, blessing, and promise. Our gift is that of love freely given. With reverence and thanksgiving, we dedicate ourselves to the task of parenting and nurturing. Thus do we promise to love unconditionally and to strengthen the bonds of community.
With this in mind, we greet these parents to publicly name and introduce their children to this community. Stephanie and Dan, please name these children.
Fallon Gray Helwing and Ember Lake Helwing.
Stephanie and Dan, in bringing these children before us this morning, do you dedicate yourselves anew and pledge to the best of your ability to guide your children in the ways of truth, service, and love? If so, please say, "We do."
We do.
And now let us together share the names of these children. They're printed in your order of celebration. Ember Lake Helwing. Let's say it together.
Ember Lake Helwing.
And Valen Gray Helwing.
Valen Gray Helwing.
Will you, the members and friends of this congregation, gathered in witness, speaking both for yourselves and especially today for others who are not here, promise your support to these children and offer your blessing as well as to support these parents in their efforts as we come together as a community? If so, please say, "We do." We do. Thank you.
And will you, the children who gather here this morning, promise to welcome these children in your classrooms as they grow older? Will you protect them, play with them, talk to them, and laugh with them? If so, please say, "We do."
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm glad. Having made these promises, let us now bless these children, joining in an act of love and beauty to bless them with the elements of our common creation, elements lifted up by our ancestors, and with the glory of their distinct and beautiful names. Valen and Ember, we bless you with earth. I put this dirt to remind you to play on the earth with joy, to walk gently on the earth and track dirt into the house, and to be well rooted in yourselves. We bless you with air. May the winds of the sky and of space dance around you, reminding you of the unlimited possibilities of your life. May you always breathe the air of freedom. We bless you with fire. May the warmth of the fire bring you the warmth of love in your heart, a deep passion for living and for whatever work your hands and imagination find to do. May the love these first people give you simmer in your soul and grow to be compassion for all people and all living things. And now the messy part. We bless you with water. Ancient symbol of purity and clarity and healing, may you see clearly and speak the truth. When you're afraid, may you find your deep inner currents of courage, and when life has wounded you, may you feel the tide of the eternal rise to bring you to wholeness again. And we bless you with the ether, the expanding space between the galaxies, the fertile void out of which emerges all of existence. May you be at one with the forces that shape, sustain, and reclaim all that was, is, and ever will be, the silent song at the center of the cosmos. May the force be with you.
As a token of their dedication, we give to Valen and to Ember, here you are, a rosebud, fragrant symbol of beauty, promise, and love. Their roses have no thorns, symbolizing the better world we would give to our children if we had it in our power. While we know that the world is not altogether as lovely as this rosebud, we hope that Valen and Ember will learn to recognize the beauty and the goodness which does exist, and that they'll grow in their wisdom and compassion, adding their own beauty to the world.
And now, in the presence of all here gathered, and in the presence of that eternal love that will not let us go, our true end and our best means, you are named, dear Ember and dear Valen, and we dedicate you to the living of a good, grace-filled, and joyous life. May it be so. Blessed be.
Amen.
Thank you. Please rise in body and or in spirit to sing I Seek the Spirit of a Child, number 338 in the gray hymnal, and our children will leave during the second verse.
I seek the spirit of a child who meets life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond art. May I see joy's a gift to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves innately, who lights our day with just a smile and shines the light of all we see. Children are real beyond all fears. May I see hope's a gift through our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees his light fully, now comes in cloud and golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond all lies. May I see faith's a gift through our eyes.
We gather each week not for our needs alone, but to bear witness to our joys and our triumphs, our sorrows and our disappointments. In this circle of care, we come together as companions on life's journey. When I hold up my arms, I invite you to say, we hold you in our hearts. If you are living through the small and extraordinary milestones of life, we hold you in our hearts. If parenting is your primary spiritual practice, we hold you in our hearts. If you are mourning a loss, we hold you in our hearts. If you live with or care for someone with grief or chronic pain, we hold you in our hearts. If you are struggling with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental illness or addictions, we hold you in our hearts. If you have suffered abuse or injustice, we hold you in our hearts. We send healing wishes to Cedar Lane members John Giovanelli, Kay Scott, and Wanda Van Gore, who are all convalescing at Carriage Hill. They welcome visitors. We hold you in our hearts. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost or impacted by violence and calamities in our world. Especially this week, we remember the 74 people killed in the devastating wildfires ravaging Northern and Southern California. We hold you in our hearts. The 22 transgender persons killed in 2018 in the US due to fatal violence, the most ever recorded. We hold you in our hearts. May these friends of ours, our companions in the world, and all that lives unspoken in our hearts, be held in the embrace of prayer and by a love that will not let us go.
Let us enter into a spirit of prayer, meditation, or reflection with these words adapted from the Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf. O nameless one of many names, Spirit of life and love, enfold in your loving embrace all those in our trans community who have been killed for being who they are, those who face violence on a daily basis, those who have lost loved ones, and those who constantly worry for their loved ones. May we come to a time when we cease to shame children around gender roles and expression, where we allow for freedom and exploration of identity and expression, and to a world that operates from love, especially when things are difficult and confusing. May all who live with the threat of violence find support, strength, community, safety, and hope. As we enter a time of silence together, I invite those among us who are mourning a loss or commemorating the anniversary of a loss to please rise in mourning and memory. Let us enter the silence together. May all be well. May all be peaceful. May all be fit for excellence. May all be whole. Peace, peace, peace. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So may it be. Blessed be.
Gracias por el amor de cielo, gracias por
Thank you, members of the choir, Henry and Chris, for that beautiful hymn. So there was this young man who moved from the rural Midwest, somewhere in Indiana maybe, and moved to D.C. and got a nice apartment in the Georgetown neighborhood. And after a couple of weeks, his mother called him to see how he was doing. "I'm fine," he said, "but there are some really strange people living in this apartment complex. The couple on my right talk loudly all day long, and the young woman to my left cries and moans at night, and the fellow upstairs bangs his foot on the floor all the time," he said. "Well, son," said his mother, "I'm sorry to hear this, but I suggest you don't associate with people like that." To which the son replied, "Mom, I don't. I just stay inside my apartment all day and all night playing my bassoon." So some people say that when you're having a bad day, you can cheer yourself up by thinking about how things could be worse. In theory, at least, even when things are not going especially well, you can be grateful for the fact that you do not live in a small apartment next to someone who plays the bassoon all the time. There's nothing against bassoons. I love the bassoon. But would I want it playing all the time? Nope. Now, though this example is a bit far-fetched, all of us might admit that on any given day, there is a great deal about which we could be thankful that we often neglect to think about. In fact, most of us here this morning, when put to it, would admit we have much to be grateful for. But we seem to always want to go, as psychologist and Unitarian Universalist Mary Pfeiffer puts it, for that 10%. Most of the unhappiness in the world, she writes, is caused by people who are 90% happy going for that last 10%. So, do you count your blessings on a daily basis? Okay, I see some nods. Or do you have days when you almost resent this seemingly forced optimism, this required buoyancy of counting blessings even when things are not going so well for you? Yeah, I see a few more nods there. There are certainly times when a forced cheerfulness is not appropriate, times suited only for anger, disappointment, or grief. We can all imagine circumstances in our lives in which the only honest reaction is resistance and defiance or sadness and lament. But one hopes that on the whole our lives will not be characterized only by feelings and reactions of a negative nature, but also by gratitude and thankfulness. And so, maybe this Thanksgiving can be particularly helpful to us in the current season we inhabit, or more accurately, that inhabits us. Because for all its beauty, this autumn just seems a time for unusual suffering. Here we are, washed as we have been in calamity after calamity, tragedy and death, turmoil and turbulence, and even our own personal losses close to home. A church member dies suddenly, devastating his family and friends. Another member undergoes life-saving surgery, emergency surgery, but has a long road for recovery. A dear friend whose cancer was supposed to be in remission finds out that it's back. Someone has to be evacuated from their home in paradise that was completely gutted in the wildfires that ravaged California, killing 74 people with thousands still missing, hundreds still missing. Someone's friend dies in the mass shooting that happened in California. How can we be grateful in these circumstances? My response is that not only will a grateful attitude help, it is essential. In fact, it is precisely under crisis conditions when we have the most to gain by a grateful perspective on life. In the face of demoralization, gratitude has the power to energize. In the face of brokenness, gratitude has the power to heal. In the face of despair, gratitude has the power to bring hope. In other words, gratitude can help us cope with the hard times. Now, I'm not suggesting that gratitude is going to emerge naturally from deep within or easily in a crisis. Nor am I suggesting that you should therefore go looking for crises or manufacturing them in your life so you can continue to feel grateful. No, I'm not suggesting that either. You see, it is easy to feel grateful for all the good things that we are blessed with, deserved or undeserved in our lives. No one feels grateful that they got diagnosed with terminal cancer, or lost a loved one in a mass shooting, or lost their home in a hurricane or a wildfire. But it is important to make a distinction between feeling grateful and being grateful. See, we cannot easily will ourselves to feel grateful or happy because feelings tend to follow from the way we look at the world. But being grateful is different. According to psychologist Robert Emmons, being grateful is a choice, a prevailing attitude that endures and is relatively immune to the gains and losses that flow in and out of our lives. When disaster strikes, gratitude provides a perspective from which we can view life in its entirety and not be overwhelmed by temporary circumstances. When this perspective is hard to achieve, and sometimes it is, he says it is still worth the effort. Challenges and suffering can actually deepen our gratitude if we allow them to show us not to take things for granted. I'm reminded of that old familiar story of the poor man who goes to his rabbi and tells him how hard it has been as his family of 8 must make do in a tiny one-room house. "The 6 children, Rabbi," he cries, "roll like the sea. They are in constant motion. My wife and I never have a moment alone. I can't stand it anymore." So the rabbi tells the man that if he will do exactly as instructed, the man and his wife, as well as his children, will find gratitude and joy. So the man agrees. The rabbi asks him how many animals he owns. The man replies, some chickens, some rabbits, a goat, a cow, and a horse. So the rabbi says, "Move all your livestock into your house." The man is aghast and he thinks the rabbi is crazy, but he agrees. So he goes home and does as been instructed, and the next day he returns and says to the rabbi, "It is like living in hell. I can't imagine it worse. The chicken droppings alone are enough to make you sick." So the rabbi says, "Fine. Why don't you move the chickens out of the house back to where they were?" So gratefully the man goes home and does it. The next day he returns and says, "Well, the chickens are gone, but the goat, oh, the goat is horrible. It's eaten half of the only tablecloth we own, and it jumps up on top of the chairs and our bed, making havoc everywhere." Well, the rabbi suggests, why don't you go home and remove the goat? Which the man does. The next day he returns and tells the rabbi, have you ever lived, Rabbi, in a room with a cow? It is too disgusting to describe. Well, the rabbi says, why don't you remove the cow? And it goes on. Next the rabbits, and then the horse, and finally only the family remains. And the man goes to his rabbi and says, Rabbi, I don't understand, but we are filled with joy and gratitude. Our children are happy and calm. My wife and I are at peace. Thank you. That's the end of the story. You see, we don't know how good we have it until it really gets bad. And this is a legitimate lesson. Things can and do get worse. And I suggest there are deeper places we can go than simply realizing how good we have it. Again, to quote Robert Emmons, crisis can make us grateful, but research says gratitude can help us cope with crisis. Consciously cultivating an attitude of gratitude builds up a sort of psychological immune system that can cushion us when we fall. There is scientific evidence that grateful people are more resilient to stress, whether minor everyday hassles or major personal upheavals. End of quote. Now, Emmons is right. Some of the happiest people I have met in my life and in my ministry are ones who have gone through terrible suffering and pain. And these aren't folks who live in denial about their pain or loss or suffering, but are happy and grateful despite all that. My good friend and former moderator, the late Denny Davidoff, offered these words in a time of great loss and uncertainty in her personal life. Spirit of life, she wrote, I know that I'm one of the lucky ones, gifted with health and skill and spiritual and material wherewithal to do my work in the world. Help me to make these wilderness days of uncertainty, of yearning, of disequilibrium, an experience of learning about myself and others. Renew my appreciation for the precious gift of life and remind me that even when things aren't going my way, they are going my way. Even when things aren't going my way, they are going my way. We all need to begin again. And life blessedly offers us new beginnings over and over again. The brokenness is restored, yet the form of the gift is ever new. What we once had is now gone, but unexpected blessings, small ones, overtake us, tap us on the shoulder, and invite us to travel down roads we never knew. Our challenge is to be open and present to what might come. And in the process, we have to be fully ourselves as we can be. And so, despite all the travail and tragedy that surrounds me and that I seem to carry around like a weight on my shoulders, I remind myself to be grateful for the new day that never fails to come. It will come even when I am dead and long gone for others to enjoy as I have, and there is comfort in thinking that. I'm grateful for the life that is mine on this once only moment of my precious and wild life. The only moment that really matters at all, since none of the others is certain and all the ones that have gone before are gone for good. I'm grateful for growing things, for my own ability to grow even when I don't want to, and for my children who have outgrown me. I'm grateful for the places where we live, where we are at home and safe, where we learn to share and to understand one another, perhaps the most difficult and challenging task, as we must reveal ourselves, our own true, hidden, scared, sacred, broken, beautiful selves, the ground of that understanding. For people I am grateful whom we have learned to trust and who trust us. That is faith in a nutshell. And I'm grateful for people who have never let us down, who believe in us when we fail over and over again, who help us over and through the rough places. And in the long haul, they are mostly rough places, and for whom we must give thanks. And I'm grateful for the life we would not exchange with any other person because it's the only one we've got. And this one is hard because it is always tempting to believe that the grass is greener in our neighbor's yard. So my prayer to the ever-present help for each of us is that we will give thought to gratitude today, on Thanksgiving, and in all of the days to come. Not because we are naive and foolish optimists, even though there's nothing wrong in being naive and foolish optimists, but because we have looked at all of the realities of life and all of our lives and know that we must be grateful. So may we truly be grateful for every gift of life which we have been given and received. May we be grateful for all that we have and all that we are. May we be grateful for our families and friends. May we be grateful for this liberal religious faith and this, our spiritual home, that sustains and nurtures and challenges us and calls us to live compassionate and generous lives. And may we be grateful for the possibility of grace and hope that will carry us through the many causes of heartbreaks and disappointments and over and through those rough places where we cannot yet be grateful. So may it be. Blessed be. Amen. As the ushers come forward to give and receive an offering that sustains the mission and ministry of Cedar Lane and the work of Family Diversities Project, I would like to share that the offering is a communal expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance. It visibly demonstrates the harvest at this most cherished hour of our week and says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do on Sunday mornings. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
May we be grateful for all that we bring and share to make this a beloved community. Please rise in body and/or in spirit to sing hymn number 67 in your gray hymnal. We sing now together.
As we prepare to do a benediction that we will create together. Please take a moment and think of what you might be grateful for in this very moment. For me, my mind immediately goes to Ember and her little sparkly shoes, and what it means for a community to take responsibility for its children. And I feel that gratitude in my heart, and I invite you to think of where gratitude is showing up in your body right now, or what words you're associating with this gratitude. In just a moment, I'm going to invite you to call out what you are grateful for, to move your body as your body is called to move, as we make noise and movement and sound with our bodies together for this benediction of gratitude. You may begin. Maybe your body wants to move with the beat. Go ahead and call out what you're grateful for. So much gratitude alive in this moment, in this room, filling the sanctuary, spilling out into the streets. As we go forward from this day, may we take the gratitude in each moment with us. May we savor it and celebrate it. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be. You may be seated for the postlude.